Okay, folks, welcome. Thank you for joining us at the Pride Talk World AIDS Day Red Ribbon 2023 webinar. Well, every year since 2015, my team and I would organize the Red Ribbon Gala dinner in Shanghai. But since last year, we have been, all of us are in different parts of the world. So we decided that this year we get together again to commemorate World AIDS Day through a webinar. Now, it has been 35 years since the first World AIDS Day. We have come a long way, and yet there is so much more to do. Today, we are going to hear from three of my heroes. They work in eradicating HIV/AIDS. They work in initiatives, fundraising for initiatives to raise awareness on HIV/AIDS. They work on prevention. They work on treatment. And then we're going to also see some statistics on what is happening and what the progress is and where we are going towards. So please allow me to introduce our host this evening. Well, it's evening for me. We have Raymond Pang. Hey, Raymond. And we have Catherine Hansen. Hey, Catherine. And my name is Liu. We represent Shanghai Pride and DNI Consulting. So moving on, we have some housekeeping rules that we'd like everyone to be aware of. First of all, we want this to be a safe space, so please be respectful to everybody. And while the speakers are speaking, we would ask you to mute your microphone. And if you do have questions and comments, please do put it down in the chat box or right below here on the screen next to you. Despite being a recorded event, we do respect the privacy of everybody. So if you do not want your face to be on screen, you can turn off your video. But we do also would like you, if you are okay, to be part of the group photo at the end of the webinar, right? And today, we really hope that everybody will listen, will be able to share, learn, and also to enjoy each other's company. Now, to more serious stuff. Catherine is going to give you the facts about what's happening right now and where we would like to go.
Great. Thank you so much, Charlene. So yeah, let's just learn some key facts about HIV and AIDS globally. And first of all, I want to mention that these facts are coming from WHO and the UN. But yeah, so as you can see, HIV remains a significant global public health issue still today. We've lost approximately 32 to 51 million lives globally since 1981, and there is ongoing transmission globally. Some countries are experiencing an increase in transmission, and some are experiencing a decline in transmission. And in 2022, the number was 630,000 people that died from HIV-related causes, and an estimated 1.3 million people acquired HIV last year. There's still no cure for HIV infection. However, it has become a manageable chronic health condition with access to effective HIV prevention, treatment, and care. So actually, HIV and AIDS can be mainly prevented by practicing safe sex, first of all, but also by taking antiretroviral drugs, such as PrEP, which you might have heard about, and antiretroviral therapy, which is called ART. And that one can boost a person's immune system and reduce the amount of the virus in the body. So this means that people can now actually live long and healthy lives with HIV through this treatment. However, there's still a lot of stigma and discrimination worldwide around HIV and AIDS. And the fact number one against stigma remains that this is not a gay problem. This is an everyone's problem. So there's also some good news, especially in terms of today and tomorrow. Today, people that are dying from HIV-related causes or acquiring HIV have decreased drastically from the past. And this means the global strategy from WHO, UNAIDS, and the Global Fund is to end the HIV epidemic in 2030. So actually only 6 years from now. We've also seen some positive numbers in 2022 and last year that 86% of all people living with HIV knew their diagnosis, and 76% of people living with HIV are on life-saving therapy. And finally, 71% of people living with HIV are benefiting from this treatment. And this means that we have a reduced HIV transmission globally. So with these numbers, they hope that in 2025, these numbers can be 95% globally, with the goal of ending HIV in only a few years. So these are some positive numbers on the future, but still we need to talk about the stigma and discrimination there is worldwide. So with this information, let's dig into the discussion of today's roundtable to learn more from our expert panelists. So I'll hand over the mic back to Charlene.
Thank you, Catherine. It does seem like the numbers do sound alarming, but then we also see some significant improvement. So I'd like to introduce our panelists. First up, Olivia Wu, pronounced she, her. She is the co-founder and director of Asia Rainbow Ride. And later on during her introduction, she's gonna explain more of what she does. And then we also have Robert Bu. He is the executive director of Shanghai Qing'ai Health Center, and he will be talking about the initiatives that he and his organization have been doing throughout these years on creating awareness on HIV/AIDS, especially among young adults. And last but not least, we have Ramesh. And Ramesh, he is an advocate for HIV/AIDS prevention and care. He's right now in Thailand somewhere, but he's normally in Kuala Lumpur. All right, Raymond, I'm going to pass it to you to ask the first question.
Thank you so much, Charlene. And once again, welcome, Olivia, Robert, and Ramesh. It's really good to have you here with us today. Although it's already 2 weeks after World AIDS Day, but it's still important to utilize or continuing voicing out and advocate for HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention throughout the month. Yes, I'm Raymond. It's good to see everyone. First question, I think, of course, everyone wants to know more about our speakers. So let's welcome them. And first question, of course, we go to Olivia. Give us a quick introduction about yourself. What's your background? How did you got involved in the movement, the advocacy work? And yeah, what are you doing right now? Let us know.
Hi everyone. So I'm Olivia and I'm currently in Taiwan. So right now I'm the co-founder and director for the Asia Rainbow Ride. The Asia Rainbow Ride has been happening for the past 4 years. So we just completed our 4th year just this October, Pride Month in Taiwan. And how this came about was have a friend, Lisa. So she joined the AIDS life cycle in California and was very inspired. She came to Taiwan and thought Taiwan is a great island with like cycling infrastructure. So we thought, hey, let's do this like amazing bike ride in Taiwan. So we are a charity bike ride event that raises funds for LGBTQ services in Asia. Essentially, that's what we do. And my personal background is I've been in Taiwan for the past 15 years doing LGBTQ related advocacy.
Great, thank you. Once again, welcome, Olivia. It's great to see you virtually, and thank you for joining. Next, I'll pass it on to Robert to do a quick introduction of himself and what he has been doing in the HIV/AIDS prevention and awareness field. Robert, over to you. And I think Robert will be speaking in Mandarin. I'll do a quick translation. But yeah, go ahead. 胡嘉欣。
好啊，大家好，我是卜家清。那我们机构呢是关注LGBT 健康议题的一家 NGO，那主要是包括艾滋病和性病在内的这个生理问题，也有是 包括热线、社会工作的团体在内的这个自我认同的一些心理问题。那么生理问题的话，主要是包括 HIV 的科普和反歧视的倡导，还有一些就是我们提倡这个 LGBT 的这个自我检测和PEP 和 PIP 的一些工作。对。
Thank you, Robert. 谢谢. Quick translation. I'm Robert. I'm from Shanghai Qinghai Health Center. The organization focuses on the health topics and issues surrounding the LGBT community, including HIV/AIDS, including STDs, and also they do a lot of work, advocacy work in the HIV/AIDS awareness, anti-discrimination campaigns, self-tests, providing PP and PrEP medication, and also they have a hotline and also community organization in supporting people living with HIV, including arts and community work as well, in providing counseling services for the community. All right. Over to you, Ramesh. Tell us what you're doing now and how did you got involved in this field?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ramesh. I'm based in KL most of the time, but today I'm in Bangkok. My most adult life, I've been a restaurateur, but I think a couple of years ago, slightly more than a couple of years ago, perhaps I can call it a calling, I would say, to do the work that I'm doing now. For the last 2 years, I've been running a community-led clinic, providing HIV responses, which also includes advocacy work, both online and offline, and HIV prevention, which includes testing, vaccination, PrEP, treatment for HIV, the whole works. So we provide a holistic service, including mental health, peer support group, hotline, and the next thing that we're working on is chemsex harm reduction. Yeah, I think that's about it for now.
Cool, thank you. I think we'll stay on with Ramesh. Can you let us, so we have representatives from Taiwan, mainland China, and also Malaysia, and of course the regional advocates in the panel, in the audience as well. But Ramesh, can you tell us, in Malaysia, what's the situation like in terms of HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention? What's the general sentiment in the community, in the society, and what do you see improvement or still remaining as a challenge, no matter in public spaces or private spaces? In general, give us an idea of what's happening in Malaysia in terms of HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention.
I'll start off with some good news first. Early this year, we have started to provide PrEP for free under the PrEP GOE program, where Malaysians above the age of 18, whoever who's non-reactive to HIV, can get PrEP from government facility. And that has really pushed the PrEP uptake among the community. The average cost of PrEP, if you're on daily PrEP, for example, it is about 130 to about 300 a month. To some of us, it might not cost a lot, 130 ringgit. It's about like, what, 4 ringgit a day? Some of us spend more than that on a cup of coffee. But to many who's earning about 1,500 or 2,000 ringgit a month, this is quite a bit to spend. But with the free PrEP from the government, it has really pushed the uptake. Unfortunately, in the beginning, there was a lot of backslash from certain extremists, I would say, but now it has really picked up and is getting better in terms of uptake. Yeah. What we are seeing is there are more positive from the private sector, meaning the clinics. They're focusing more on mental health. They're normalizing HIV and STI testing. But the best part is the government is providing PrEP for free from the beginning of the year, which again, even though PrEP is not extremely expensive in Malaysia compared to a country like Singapore or Hong Kong, but it costs about 130 to 300 a month. But again, to some of us isn't much, but for someone who's earning about 1,500 to 2,000, there is a bit to spend. So with the free prep from the government, it really has pushed the prep up.
It's okay，卜嘉欣，我们到你吧。
嗯
现在可以告诉我们一下，关于在国内大陆地区现在发生的现在的境况是什么样的进展？然后公共区域或是私人领域或社群现在都是一个怎么样的一个态度，或者是一个现在什么样一个现状吧？
好啊。其实今年的世界艾滋病日刚结束哦，就是我们还都挺忙的，因为今年是疫情之后，就是无论是政府还是社群特别关注的一年。那首先呢，我们机构自己有新出版了一本关于 HIV 相关的科普的书籍。因为我们整个行业里面的书已经是很老的，就相关的知识都已经没办法再使用了。所以我们需要一本更新的这个科普的书籍，让更多的人去了解，什么是真正的艾滋病的工作。然后我们今年的主题呢，又是让社群发挥主导作用。那中国的主题也是相关的。那我们作为一家本土的这个相关的机构，我们也很愿意在这件事上花更多的力气。那今年的艾滋病的疫情呢，它更多的是往一老一小来靠拢，就是年轻的这个艾滋病的这个感染者增多，还有就是老年这两个人群呢，是颠覆了我们原来公众对于艾滋病这种污名化所带来的这种刻板印象。对，你可以先翻译。
So a quick translation over here. Robert was saying that this year's World AIDS Day has been comparison to previous years has been very, very busy because Qinghai has been publishing a book about HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention because the previous information, official information, or the information, public information about awareness and prevention has been really old and really outdated. So they have been trying to provide new information or the most updated information for awareness and prevention. And also to really hope or push for more information that is accurate online for the public in terms of HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention. So this year's World AIDS Day theme was about the community to really have the role, the responsibility, right? And the Chinese theme is also aligned with that, which is really organizing the community power to really anti-discrimination and also to prevent HIV and AIDS. So and for this year, Shanghai Qinghai also realized, or throughout the years, that the main community that is getting HIV is the elder generation and also the younger generation, which is really different from what we have known throughout the years compared to the mainstream information about who's the community that is getting HIV/AIDS, right? So yeah. 你要继续。
还有一件事情就是关于猴痘。是2023年开始呢，猴痘对于这个中国LGBT 社群的一个冲击。因为其实昨天我们的新闻又开始公布了猴痘，11月份好像也有一些病例数。那上面的公布数字很容易会让人家引起这是一个同性恋的一个疾病。那我们在今年6月份的时候，其实蛮早的，上海还没有太多疫情的时候，我们就已经跟 CDC 联合起来做了一些宣传。趁就是社会上对于这个科普视频还没有刻板印象的时候，我们先做一个就是减少污名化的这个视频，让更多的人了解，就是所有人都有可能得猴痘。对。
And then one thing is worth mentioning about in the mainland China environment is about the I would say the disease of monkeypox, which alerted the community as well. It has been under the radar. I mean, it appeared and under the radar for quite a while. And it recently, especially these few weeks, it has been appearing again, where it is also stigmatized, where it is related to the homosexual community, which is not true, where everyone is at risk in having or getting monkeypox disease. But this is something, a piece of news that is worth mentioning as well in the mainland China environment. Thank you, Robert, for that. Yeah, Olivia, over to you. While you're supporting the LGBTQ community and also supporting HIV/AIDS related organizations and community, what do you see in the region in Taiwan, and what's the public space perception? What are the challenges? Any improvement or still remaining challenges in the community in terms of prevention and awareness?
Well, Raymond, I was wondering, I have a deck. Would it be okay if I share the deck, some images?
Oh, sure, you can.
Images are always fun.
Yes,
We
sure.
just figure out this like tech stuff. Okay.
Yeah, just share.
So can everyone see this? Okay, awesome. And let me just, I am really afraid to touch anything else. So
Try touching slideshow, yeah.
okay, let's try
Let's
this.
see.
All right, can everyone still see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm so excited to be here, and I thought, a deck would be really helpful, so everyone kind of gets to know like what we do. We're a charity bike ride, like I mentioned, and our main thing is really to just cycle for love. And so the bike really like raises awareness for LGBTQ equality, and obviously in our community there are people who are battling and facing AIDS and HIV. And the ride is really for everyone, allies, local Taiwanese and internationals, and our annual donation effort supports awareness, visibility, and services of the LGBTQ community in Asia. And one of the beneficiary that we support is the Taiwan AIDS Foundation. And with the current happenings in Taiwan is there are 5 new cases that are happening in Taiwan every day, which is kind of insane. I mean, Taiwan's tiny. But it's happening. However, we do see positivity in terms of Taiwan CDC is really supportive. Like recently, they just held an alliance of 8 different HIV related NGOs collaborating, doing an event for awareness in Taipei.
While we're doing all this tech stuff, if anybody has a chance, I would say please join Asia Rainbow Ride. I know I've been saying this for years. I still haven't gone there yet, but it looks fun. And I've heard great things about it.
Shar, while you deal with the slides, is Ramesh back? Do you want to continue after the private sector and the government is providing PrEP for free?
What I'm trying to say here is when you look at the 95 for Malaysia, right? We are very good at the first stage. We are very good at testing. I mean, not so extremely good. We are 80 plus now %. So that means 81% are actually getting tested, know their status. But the second 95, which is 68%, what that shows is there's no proper linkage to care. So you are diagnosed, but you're not getting treatment. So the various reasons, I mean, we have a good healthcare system, but why are people not getting treatment? So the bottom line is stigma. So stigma in the healthcare level itself, stigma by the community. So what the main problem is now is what we had 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. It's still stigma. Stigma is the one that's stopping people from getting treatment. So I think the main issue here that we need to handle or look at is how to minimize stigma on people who are living with HIV.
Thank you for sharing that. That's alarming and also something that we need to focus on for Malaysia as well. Okay,
yeah. And the other thing is, is also late detection. So if you look at the figures in 2022, I don't have the figure for this year's figure, but the number of percentage of late diagnosed, meaning the CD4 count is less than 350, is increasing year by year. It's not reduced. Since 2018, it has increased and increased every year. So people are not only diagnosing late, they're not following treatment properly as well. So that is something that we really need to look at.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
We ready for Olivia?
All right, can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you everyone for bearing with this. And Shark, could you move to the next slide, please?
Yep.
I'm not gonna play the 3-minute video, but I'd be happy to pass it to Shar to share with everyone to just see all the fun that we have on the ride. And it's really a community. I think a combination of a lot of things that makes it very attractive and a way to like just bridge people together. And then the next slide. So as I was mentioning, it's it's alarming that with the education that's happening, cases are still happening. It is much less than before, however. And we actually start from Red House every year because Red House is a space where it's kind of like a taboo. Like the older generation would tell their children, do not go to Red House, you're gonna get AIDS. And then that's why very consciously we start there every single year and then we end our ride at the Red House. So next slide. And so one of our beneficiary, the Taiwan AIDS Foundation, the idea of how we're tackling this is the 3 levels of AIDS prevention. The first is to prevent uninfected individuals from becoming infected in the future. And then that includes very young children, or it includes people in like school spaces. And the secondary part is to early detection and encouraging people to get treatment. And then the last part is receiving the proper treatment and really just improving the lives of people who are living with the virus. And let's do the next one. So as Ramesh or was it Robert who was mentioning about like stigmatization, it happens. We are still an Asian country. So that people still have this, idea that, if you're gay or whatever, it's gonna happen to you. So the fund that we've been able to support the Taiwan AIDS Foundation has been used to increase the number of HIV and syphilis testing in specifically rural areas. Because in the city, like people know of it, people are educated, they have easy access to testing. However, in rural areas, there is less resources for that. So the AIDS Foundation, they've designed like rental cars. They have this fascinating idea of having rental cars, and then people would make appointments online. And then so testing could be done in these rental cars, and then it would be completely anonymous. And then this is really helpful in terms of, people having access to testing. So our donation has gone forward to doing this particular work this year. So next one. And in addition to that, so here I'm showing these are Taiwan AIDS Foundation volunteers who show up during the opening and closing ceremony of the ride, and sharing the just educating the riders on the U equal U, and just being present in the space where the riders and volunteers are joining, having these narratives and conversations. Okay, and then the next one. So there's the website and email. If anyone has any other questions, I'd be happy to connect.
Thank you, Olivia. That's really, really inspiring on what the community can do to support the HIV/AIDS advocacy work. Of course, we have a diverse panels over here with 2 really into the community and providing tests and clinics. There are also different ways of supporting the community and HIV/AIDS advocacy through Asia Rainbow Ride, which is really amazing. And it reminds me of those days when we were doing our advocacy work back in Shanghai. I'm sure that Robert could really remember those days and engage. So my next question to Robert is, we are moving into now that we lay down all the facts, the numbers, the general situation, the concerns and challenges. We would like to really learn about stories and experience to share about individuals living with HIV. And what's it like for people living with HIV in mainland China? Yeah. 对，不相信就是感染者
，OK。
在大陆的状况是怎么样的，然后他们有些是可以得到什么样的一些支持？
嗯，我分几段吧，就是第一，我觉得因为中国它很大，所以呢，它的每个城市之间的水平是不一样的，有些地方可能已经在讨论，就今年来讲，很多地方讨论就是艾滋病患者，他这个 HIV 和其他并发症的关系，比如说艾滋病和糖尿病、艾滋病和高血压，以及心血管疾病的一些关系。很多的艾滋病病人开始在慢慢了解他所服用的药物对这些疾病是不是产生一定的关联，应该怎么来预防。当然，还有一些城市可能还停留在艾滋病会不会死亡，看到艾滋病会很害怕这个阶段。所以整个中国它又有做一些很普及的一些工作，又有一些新的探索。但是我觉得，就今年的世界艾滋病日，我们组织了30多位的艾滋病患者代表和上海市的政府官员一起做了一个面对面的这个讨论活动，我觉得这是一个非常好的信号。
What Robert just mentioned is like the mainland China is really big, and all different cities and provinces have different progress in terms of HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention, and different situation for people living with HIV. For more advanced cities, people living with HIV are also very aware of with medication. There probably will be symptoms or side effects that accompanied with high blood pressure or diabetic. So they are looking into issues like this. But for some cities which are more rural with HIV/AIDS advocacy work, people are still at a very early stages of connecting HIV/AIDS with death, with negative biases and discrimination, where people living with HIV has a more challenging time in those cities. And interestingly, in Shanghai, Robert shared that this year during World AIDS Day, they organized a panel or a round table of 30 plus people living with HIV to have conversations with the CDC or the Shanghai government regarding their well-being and livelihood.
那么我们机构也会针对于艾滋病患者提供很多的帮助和服务。那么如果你怀疑自己感染 HIV 的话，我们可以可以找到我们，我们可以进行免费的艾滋病相关的这个检测。那我们也会陪同你前往疾控中心进行一些确诊。那么我们针对刚确诊的患者，我们会有一些新患者的这种沙龙，告诉他们怎么来进行一些入门的普及。那么我们会帮他们进行一个病友沙龙的这种链接，我们也会让一些就是心里面有一些压力的患者，会提供一些舞蹈、绘画的这种形式来进行心理的治疗当然政府也会有一些基本的这种相关的。免费的就是关于患者免费的检测，包括病毒载量和 CD4，但事实上远远不够。那我们的诊所也会为一些可能觉得自己身份比较敏感又不愿意让政府知道的人士，做一些比较就是隐私保护比较好的这种相关的HIV 的治疗，我们也会帮他们链接一些专家进行一些会诊。
Thank you, Robert. In this part, Robert mentioned about what Qinghai done for people living with HIV. I mean, first of all, if there are people who suspect of infection, they are able to quickly self-test and for free, and then also to accompany them to the CDC to for confirmation and record. And of course, they also organize newly infected people living with HIV to organize panel discussions and support groups to actually learn more about the disease, and also if there are people living with HIV who are concerned and psychologically requires help, they also provide dance, art sessions to support the community to de-stress, right? And of course there are support from the government, but that's never enough. And so NGO and community organizations really play a crucial role in this. And there are people living with HIV who are more in terms of their identity, more sensitive. So they would like to have more discreet medication, and Ching Ai would be able to help them as well. All right. Thank you, Robert. On to you, Ramesh, if you're able to. Probably give us an idea about people living with HIV in Malaysia. How's it like? What's the challenge and what's the situation like?
Well, I'm looking at what has been going on in the last years. Okay, this is just my point of view, right? Okay, till now, the number of people who are openly out about their HIV status has not changed over the years. So when people who are living with HIV, they are not coming out about their status. That shows there's very little empowerment among the PLHIV themselves. I think this is where we're not doing things right. So if we want to destigmatize people living with HIV, it has to come from the people who are living with HIV. We need to empower them to come out, and that will help reduce the stigma. That's my personal use. But that's in Andrew Tan is here. Andrew Tan will be a way better person to highlight this matter. This is correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew. But this is just my personal view. The progress is too slow, in my opinion.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Yeah.
Olivia, if you have any add-on to the conversation, I hope you can, in terms of people living with HIV, your experience or friends, how is it like, and what help is there out there for people living with HIV?
So I know so Taiwan has like in terms of like testing, individuals who are with the potential of having contact with the virus feel like they need to repeatedly get tested. And this is quite common. So I know like with this population, it's about, I think it was Robert who mentioned it, like the the consulting aspect, the more it's like the soft approach to understanding what is really behind their fear. Yeah, so that it's also one aspect that's really showing up in our area. And I personally, I do have friends who are living and with this, and I feel like the perspective that they are hoping is to just simply live like a normal human being, and to go about their days and have the opportunity to do advocacy work for this area. And I don't know if this is translates to other Asian areas and countries, but this seems to be the case in Taiwan and in very like predominantly Taiwanese communities.
Thank you for that, Olivia. I believe so as well. With my experience with Robert when we were Shanghai, doing the awareness and prevention projects and panel discussions. That's really true, and throughout the community. Before we proceed with more questions or conversations with the panel, I think we can address some of the questions from the audience. One question from Gray. Have we made any progress in medical discrimination against people living with HIV in the insurance industry? Right? People living with HIV is not able to buy insurance is a very big concern. Not having the safety net adds a lot of stress. I'm not sure who can, Olivia, Robert, or Ramesh, has any insights into the insurance coverage for people living with HIV. 补家欣这个问题关于感染者能不能够得到保险的保护或医疗保险的这个包括在里面作为意外或者是医疗保险，这个你有任何的反馈吗？
是这样的啊，这个问题就很难回答，是因为保险公司其实有明令把 HIV 患者写作为就是排他原则的，所以说如果按照道理的话，如果你坐飞机失事了，你意外保险里面如果你是一个艾滋病患者的话，你属于非理赔的这个范畴之内。但事实上，我也有跟一些保险公司的人聊，就是如果你感染艾滋病的这个身份没办法让他知道的话，事实上还是可以理赔的。就是如果你先买了保险，后面再感染 HIV，可能会有一定的理赔。但是如果你先感染了再买保险，这个可能性就很差。但总体来说，中国的保险行业是不支持。原来有过一些关于感染艾滋病的这种保险，你知道吗？就是我我花100块钱或者花200块钱，如果我感染了会有理赔，但这样所有的保险都失败告终。
So a quick translation to that is overall in mainland China, the insurance is not friendly towards people living with HIV, but there are loopholes in terms of when you buy the insurance. Is it before you are infected or after you are infected? So there are cases happening like that, but in general, overarching in mainland China, it is still remain as a stigmatized policy in terms of insurance for people living with HIV. Ramesh, do you have anything to chip in on this?
Unfortunately, it's the same in Malaysia as well. If you're diagnosed, then there's no way you can get insured. But if you are insured before you get diagnosed, then there are. Am I frozen again, or am I? You guys
You're
here?
good. You're good.
Yeah. So obviously there will not be any if the complication is because of HIV, then there's no way of you being you can claim the insurance. But there's anything else which is out of HIV, you can still claim. So I think the best advice would be to get insurance as early as possible. But unfortunately, at this stage, in this part of the world, yes, there's no insurance coverage if you are already living with HIV. Sadly.
Okay, thank you, Ramesh. Andrew has this question about, since it's Asia, in Asia we have a strong familial bond. How can we use the idea that if we look after ourselves by taking ARVs, even though we are HIV positive, this way we can live longer, healthier lives to be around to look after our parents when they grow older and start to depend on us. Do you think this would work? Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew. You are saying that we should voice out more in terms of a campaign that taking ARVs, people living with HIV still able to have equal opportunities and regular lives, and hence this will help with family support. Is it?
Yes, that's correct. I was thinking about how we could make people not so afraid of being HIV positive. I think what is important is for us to start addressing the stigma and discrimination within ourselves first. Because when I was diagnosed in 1994, I didn't know anything about HIV. And so it was a very scary time and it was very worrying. And now I am about to celebrate my 30th year of living with HIV next year. And life is back to normal. I mean, I'm healthy. I can do things that everybody else can do. And in fact, when I was celebrating my 20th year of living with HIV, I challenged myself to do something maybe a little bit selfishly. I thought that I had been helping other people, but I have not been helping myself. So I've decided to learn scuba diving. And so I had my scuba diving courses, and then I went to the east coast of Malaysia for my open water exam. So it's things like that where your people who are champions or leaders within the community also need to look after themselves, even though you give so much to the community. But I think we forget sometimes to look after ourselves. And that's something that we should all remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. That's very personal and really appreciate you sharing. Case studies, also people living with HIV really voice out, like what Ramesh mentioned just now, right? Even as much as the advocates or organizations are trying to do a lot of work, we also need to encourage or motivate people in the community to advocate self-advocacy as well, and to break that stigmatize and anti-discrimination in the public's eyes, right? Olivia, this question goes to you as well in terms of campaigns and any observation in terms of people living with HIV, in terms of self-advocacy or campaigns for awareness and prevention in Taiwan.
I think, I feel like as human beings, we have the natural inclination to want to show up in a positive manner and to live with wellness in mind. And I do see like the community living and showing up in this sense. This is a great way to connect with the general society. And I think this is what we really want to embody on the ride. So I think I'm just looking through the question. I think Gray mentioned something about medical insurance, and Robert and Ramesh also mentioned that, and it's pretty much the same case in Taiwan. However, there is something that's called the Elder Care Trust. So rather than doing insurance, a trust could also be put in place, because insurance, we're really thinking about long terms, or like 65 plus, or what would happen in the future. So some of these or estate planning for the long term. So these are things that are possible. And I think it was Catherine, how can allies show support? And this is what the Asia Rainbow Ride started. It was to become a platform where people could, we don't just want your donation, we come to the ride. Come to the ride so people could join. You could, connect, get to know other people, get to know, have different conversations that are happening, and really just create a community. And once you get into this mindset of, hey, this person who shared dinner, who we sat together at dinner, they're doing certain work or they're focused on certain stuff. It really helps to bridge the community together and also to network. Yes, writers, also a portion of their funds goes to their donations for the beneficiaries that we have for the year.
I'd like to jump in here. Olivia, you made a very good point about people getting together, right, and sharing, and actually finding out that, hey, you know what, I'm riding with someone living with HIV, and hey, so right?
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So I think it's a really good campaign putting sports together. Sports is a very good way, I would say, to reduce stigma and also to discrimination, because it does raise awareness. And I want to bring up this point because I remember, Derek, are you online? Derek has volunteered for AIDS Life Cycle in California. I think riding up from the LA to San Francisco or the other way around.
San Francisco to LA, yeah.
San Francisco to LA. Okay, so she was very moved by all the events that happen. They don't only ride, right? They eat together. They set up camp together. They take down the camp, the tents and everything. And then the most moving part, and I saw this on video, and I also cried. She obviously cried when she was there. Was the sharing of people. Most of them are allies. They would share why they ride every year for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years, because someone has passed on because of HIV related causes. So this is a very good way to bring out awareness. I mean, it's very lengthy, but it works. So, keep the fire going and keep the conversation going. I think it's very important. It's so important to normalize this conversation, right? And someone asked, like, insurance, like, why shouldn't it be covered by insurance? Because it's like any chronic disease. You have this list of chronic diseases that insurances do cover. However, we have to think about some of these diseases, like cancer, it was never there. Like breast cancer, it was never covered until much later on. So I think there is a systematic way to work on getting insurance to be on board to have such coverage. I know we are going to be on top of the hour, but I would like everybody, if you can, stay back, because this is a very good conversation, and I am learning so much from all of you, even from the audiences. Raymond. I think
Thank you, Charlie.
Robert wants to
Yes.
say something.
No, great. That was really good to jump in. Thank you, Charlene. I was wondering, Robert and Ramesh, are there any campaigns in your respective locations or regions that are, really helping with destigmatization and anti-discrimination of people living with HIV or HIV/AIDS in general? Anything that you could share in terms of campaigns and awareness of what Olivia is engaging, but what about in your respective regions? What campaigns have been successful?
Okay, what we have been doing is we provide sensitization training for healthcare workers in a government facility. That we have been doing regularly over the years. Even though we do not have proper statistics to measure the decrease or increase in stigma. So this is what we have been doing. I think we believe that it's been helping to reduce stigma in the healthcare facilities. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, what about in mainland China, Robert? 在国内有没有一些比较好的案例，对于感染者也好，或者是宣传预防艾滋病的一些比较好的一些宣传和案例？
我觉得比较困难，比较困难，但事实上我们一直在努力做。首先我要表态的是，其实这几年就是我们的整个社会对于艾滋病的这种认知度比原来要高很多，就是从原来听到艾滋病或者根本不了解是什么，到现在知道有艾滋病这么回事情，而且在每年的艾滋病日，公众开始越来越多的去讨论，我觉得这是一个很好的进步。但是艾滋病的歧视其实还是通过两个维度吧，在我看来，一个呢就是你本身掌握了一个错误的知识，所以你很害怕，这个错误的知识会让你有刻板，你想到艾滋病你会想到一些不好的，这是一个刻板印象，这样的人其实是很难改变的。另外一种呢，就是他根本不知道艾滋病是什么，看到人家害怕他也害怕。那对于这样的人来说呢，我们更多的会做一些友善的科普。我想举一个例子是关于我的同事 Ben，他今年感染艾滋病好像是十年，在10年前，新民晚报的视频号采访了他。 那么这十年每年都会对他进行一个采访。你会发现，把这10年的采访放在一起，你会看到每年他的回答，他对于生命的认知，他对于 HIV 的认知，他对于怎么样去帮助他人的认知，会完全不一样。那我觉得这是一个非常有意义的事情。而且，新民晚报它并不是一个公共卫生的报纸，它是一个上海本土的一个很有影响力的一个报纸，官方报纸。所以，通过这样一个媒体报道，能够每年的去记录这件事情的话，我觉得对于更多的公众来说是一种教育。当然，光靠他一个人的力量完全不能够解决很多事情。在我们这里更多的是公权力的歧视和医疗的歧视。比如说你在比如有些考公务员也好，你做一些其他的工作也好，你 HIV 可能是不行。那么这其实从法律角度来讲，你已经歧视了。第二个呢，就是医疗的歧视，不是所有的医护人员他都懂得艾滋病的内容。再加上上海有艾滋病的这种国家的这种定点医院，所以导致很多医生正好以这个理由把艾滋病患者往这个医院送。但事实上，艾滋病在它非并发症的时候，它的治疗不需要去传染病医院。比如说一个艾滋病患者，我前面遇到一个朋友，他需要开一个很简单的一个这个痔疮的手术，但是可能普通的医院不能接受，但事实上是没有道理的。学过医的都懂得，一般的防护，就是这样的防护都可以来进行阻断，但是由于有这么一个医院，很多医生就会把这些病人转诊过去，再加上法律上没有太多的这种就是惩罚或者阻止，导致这件事情就变成一个顺理成章的事情，就很困难。
谢谢小普. So Robert mentioned about the challenges in mainland China. First of all, I think, of course, he shared something really positive, which is one of our dear friend who is also an employee in Shanghai Qinghai, who is one of the people living with HIV for the past 10 years. And every year, he was interviewed by a local Shanghai media. And looking back these 10 years of videos, it really created an impact in terms of telling the story of people living with HIV in Shanghai, in China, which is something that is impactful and really able to showcase or influence people's perception towards people living with HIV. But again, promoting awareness and prevention in mainland China remains as a challenge because there are people who are already building or have the stereotype of people living with HIV, equals death or connected with homosexuality, which is very challenging to remove those stereotypes. And of course, there are people who do not have any information about HIV/AIDS and hence influenced by people with stereotypes. So there are a lot of work to be done in terms of education and awareness. And also in mainland China, there are segregation or CDC appointed hospitals that treat people living with HIV, especially if they are having operations and other complications. But in general, hospitals are able to treat people living with HIV, even for minor surgeries, because they are totally equipped, and sanitization is, of course, at professional level. Hence, they are able to do so. But if people living with HIV goes to a regular hospital, and the doctors know that it's people with HIV, they will send them directly to the CDC appointed hospitals that treat people with HIV. So the cycle or the segmentization of people living with HIV remains, and this is systemic, which is very challenging to remove. And doctors or medical personnel are also still not being accepted, and that's one of the challenges. Yeah, thank you, Robert. So I think one more question. Yes, and a lot of people are interested in this question where, how can we do better in terms of supporting, being an ally in terms of advocacy, HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention? That's one. And then second is also to support our friends and family who have HIV, and how can we be a better ally to both, right? So I hope this is a good segue to wrapping up the panel as well. But yeah, let's hear from the floor. Olivia, what do you think about how can we support and advocate in this situation?
I think I'll leave this to the other with more time, because I think I shared this previously as I was sharing with Catherine's question.
Yeah, I think joining Asia Rainbow, right?
Yes.
Right, that's good.
In my opinion, sorry,
Yes,
can I?
Ramesh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
In my opinion, it's just be there for them, check on them, but don't make them feel like they are invalid, right? Just be there for them, talk to them, check on them, but I don't think they need require any pity. Just be there for them. I think that's the best we could do. For anyone, whether it's cancer or if they're living with HIV, make them feel like anyone else. Like, don't make them feel needy. I think that's what my take would be. In terms of support from allies, yes, donations are great. We all need more funding for the work we are doing. But the simplest thing would be social media. Share information on social media. If follow organizations that do HIV/AIDS work, repost their story, normalize sharing news like that. It not always has to be meme and meme and meme. So it could be something like this is the easiest thing that anyone could do, including allies. It's not the key affected population's role only to do advocacy work. Anyone can do advocacy work these days with just a click of a button. I think so. So if you ask me, how can allies support? Spread information, create awareness over social media.
Indeed. Thank you, Ramesh. You know, instead of top 5 things you need to eat to avoid diabetes, you can also, right, destigmatize and share information about HIV, AIDS, especially people living with HIV as well. Yes, on to you, Robert. 嘉琪，你觉得我们可以怎么样来支持艾滋病患者？这是一个，然后还有就是支持预防艾滋病的这样子的一个意识和对。
其实我从个人角度来讲，我觉得艾滋病患者和普通人没有什么区别，所以在我看来，可能没有太多的这个区别对待。包括如果我的伴侣他是艾滋病患者的话，当然我也会没有问题。但是如果从一个政策倡导的角度来讲，我觉得它是需要一个仪式感的。那么分为几个吧，第一个就是对于公众的教育还是需要的。那公众的教育更多的是可以讲一些故事，讲一些故事。我们在几年前出版过一本关于艾滋病的口述史的书。我一直认为这本书是很成功的，原因是因为我在这本书里面不仅仅只摘录了关于 LGBT 的艾滋病患者，还有很多关于血液传播，关于那个就是商业性行为的传播等等等等。就是我要给公众一个信号，就是感染艾滋病可能它有各种各样的途径，就身边的每一个人都有可能会感染，而不是仅限于某一个人群。为什么要这么说呢？去除对 LGBT 的污名化，其实就是去除对于艾滋病患者的污名化。每个人都有可能都有机会感染艾滋病，前提并不是你是哪一个人群，而是你发生了怎么样不会自我保护的行为。所以这是一个公众的教育，我们会继续做。那第二块呢，就是对于医疗的支持。我们在不遗余力的在跟各个就是医疗机构在倡导。那事实上现在有一个很好的迹象，虽然有些医院并没有公开说，我支持艾滋病患者，你们可以过来就诊，但事实上很多患者告诉医生我是 HIV 患者，医生并没有因为他的身份而拒绝他，也会偷偷的在给他们做手术。那我觉得这是一个很好的信号，从偷偷的做手术，再慢慢的越来越多的，就是公开的，就是从制度化的，它是需要有一个过程的，我们不能太着急。这是2块很重要的点。对，
谢谢小布. So Robert mentioned about the community or allies about treating like what Ramesh mentioned. It's like everyone's equal, regular friends and family, right? That's one thing. And from an organization perspective, Robert mentioned about continuous education that requires to be done because removing or destigmatizing or anti-discrimination of people living with HIV, which equals to LGBT, that stigma, if removed, it also help removes people stigmatization of people living with HIV. So it is a collective advocacy work as well, which needs to be done. And also one thing that he mentioned also with medical personals, there are cases about medical personals, being very understanding and acceptive or supportive or being an ally towards people with living with HIV, and they are able to proceed with surgeries or medical care in regular hospitals. But that requires time to really have that collective voice and become like a policy change within mainstream or majority of the medical facilities, although the situation is still very challenging, right? Thank you, Robert. All right. We are towards the end of our panel discussion. It has been very, very exciting. I feel that we just started in some way. We could have done this for a 2-hour session, but we don't. And probably any last words or any advice Olivia, Ramesh, or Robert would like to give to the audience in terms of, in conjunction with World AIDS Day, to wrap this panel discussion up?
I think so I was just replying Chiara about her questions that we have social rights, and it's just a way to like get people out and to just stay active, engage, and to like focus on your health. So I think all of that is a combination of that really supports the community.
Thank you, Olivia. That's very powerful. Ramesh?
Yes, everything starts with you. Like what Andrew mentioned earlier, everyone has to take care of themselves before they start taking care of others. I guess there's a very strong message that we have to send out, that we empower people by empowering ourselves first. And that message has to go out very clearly so that others can take care of themselves. So whether you feel HIV or not, or take care of yourself first. Be the example that you want others to be. I think that's what's my last say for tonight. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Ramesh. 小卜，有没有最后的一些 advice？
让社群真正的替他们发声，然后让社群真正的起到主导的作用。
Yes, Robert mentioned about the power of community, and collectively we can, voice out and advocate for, HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention, and of course, people living with HIV. All right. So with that, on that note, thank you very much to everyone who participated live on Facebook as well, and of course on Zoom. We'd like to thank our panel speakers, Olivia, Robert, Ramesh. Thank you so much. And of course, to the questions that the audience have sent to us. If you would like to keep in touch with us, you can do so. Of course, Olivia, Ramesh, and Robert, feel free to share your information on the Zoom chat box so that people can follow up or join your activities or visit you one day and really talk about efforts and advocacy for HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention. So on that note, thank you everyone. Keep in touch, follow us for future events, and good night.